If you actually look at all the evidence, at this point I think it's undeniable that that is what's been going on.
I wouldn't want people to get confused in any way, shape or form at that. Just basically get it out of the way and explain it so people don't misdirect anything like that.
This is a YouTube problem and it should never have been a YouTube problem.
I don't believe he's innocent. I don't think he's innocent at all. Che may not also be innocent. And
I'm sure you can imagine all, the thing you love about YouTube kind of turning on you, and the community, thinking that you did this horrible thing that you did. It kind of takes the wind out of the sails, not gonna lie. So I didn't really want to make videos anymore.
She's a pretty horrific person, and you don't really come across too many of those on YouTube very often, but her history and this and the flip-floppy, wish-washy stuff that she's been doing to get away with it has just been an absolute sight to see.
Hey, it's your Uncle Herman here, and I'm still an alpha male. Today I'm going to be looking into a YouTuber who was in most people's good books until very recently, this creator being Alex Elmslie, known on YouTube as ImAllexx. Now I will start by apologising for my microphone quality today. I'm moving house and my proper microphone is in the bottom of the ocean somewhere, so unfortunately we're going to have to deal with this today, and I'm very sorry. Now ImAllexx has very suddenly, and I would say unexpectedly, had the internet turn on him recently, with many creators speaking out against him and his actions, which has built up after years of Alex being one of the more trusted and respected YouTubers in recent times, with many of his subscribers coming back to him for his opinions and commentary. So what has caused this sudden turn to happen? Well, let's start with a situation that suddenly made a few people start to question Alex's morals, Slazogate. So to understand the situation fully, we're going to need a bit of background. In June of 2019, the ex-girlfriend of a YouTuber by the name of Slazo tweeted a long paragraph accusing Slazo of a number of things, including being abusive during their relationship. Now, these were very serious allegations, and of course the internet picked up on it and investigated the story, but this is difficult when you've got only word of mouth to go by. Of course, it's important to believe victims when they come out with stories like this, but as with many situations, Slazo seemed to be guilty until proven innocent rather than innocent until proven guilty. Now, the allegations being made were from a relationship that Slazo was in when he was 16, and he made a response video to the allegations apologising for being a bad and controlling boyfriend at the time, but also defending himself by saying that the DMs released were jokes taken out of context or fabricated.
This makes me sound like a monster, and if it did happen, I would be a monster. But this isn't how it happened. What did happen was this was a very awkward but mutual situation. These are jokes, not good jokes, not acceptable jokes, not appropriate jokes, not funny jokes. And honestly, they're probably gonna haunt me until the day I die. They are probably the worst messages ever sent by man. But they are jokes, and they are taken out of context and put into a much, much worse one. And at the time, especially in my friend groups and social circles, online and offline, edgy humor like this was cool. It was funny. Obviously, in hindsight, it's not very funny and it's not appropriate. If you told me that these made her uncomfortable, I would be inclined to believe you. And over the course of this relationship, there are plenty of things that I do regret. There are plenty of things I wish I could take back, and if I could, I would in a heartbeat. I was emotionally unavailable. I didn't give you the support you needed. I was overly focused on certain physical things. I was a controlling asshole. I was a dick, and I'm sorry for that. I really am. It's probably my biggest regret in life, and if I could go back and change it, then I would.
Now, there are many great videos that go into great detail about this back and forth between Slazo and his ex-girlfriend Che, but where ImAllexx comes in is right after Slazo releases his apology video voicing his side of the story. Now, for many people, Slazo's apology video discredited the original allegations and cleared his name somewhat. And Alex was friends with Slazo, which is why it was particularly shocking to suddenly find him spreading misinformation and firing incriminating accusations at Slazo via Twitter. Now, Alex jumped onto Twitter and quickly accused Slazo of being a rapist and someone who had abused his power over someone underage. He suggested that Slazo had admitted these things in private to him and was seen in DMs supposedly plotting to release this information about Slazo. And in the video where Slazo admitted that he was a bad boyfriend at 16, Alex really took this and ran with this, saying that Slazo had admitted to being a controlling boyfriend of someone underage and therefore he was still against him, basically trying to justify why he had said such serious accusations in the first place instead of just apologising.
I want to make a statement because of the fact that obviously I came out and supported Che when she posted her twit longer, and obviously now Michael's video has come out where he's debunked some of the things that were put in there. First of all, I already knew that some of the screenshots that were used in Che's twit longer were jokes. I was very much aware of that, but I never had an issue with that, and I want to make that clear. Stupid jokes are stupid jokes. I don't think that's the problem. My problem with Michael was him admitting to doing things that he knew Che may not have wanted to do and being incredibly forceful and almost demanding. I don't believe he's innocent. I don't think he's innocent at all. Che may not also be innocent and may have hid stuff and used jokes to try and maybe push a certain agenda, but at the same time the stuff that Michael admitted to is stuff that makes me not want to be friends with somebody who is capable of doing those things.
Now, he did this instead of going directly to Slazzo, who was someone that he knew quite well, and it just seems really dodgy to throw about these allegations on Twitter about someone you know personally without discussing it with them first. Now, Kavos made a video recently where he interviewed Slazzo about the situation a year on and how Alex had handled this, in which Slazzo admits that he did get a private apology from Alex, but it was set up by another creator, and the false information being spread by Alex along with the accusations circling the internet had a significant negative impact on his life.
I can understand your initial reaction being, "Fuck this guy, block him," and maybe even saying a few words about it.
Yeah.
What I was more disappointed with was after it, nobody really reached out. It was just kind of like everyone kind of had their fingers crossed that, shit, like I hope he did do it, and my name can kind of get dragged into it. Yeah, I do wish a bit earlier, after I made my video, that I was kind of reached out to by various people, including Alex. But nothing, that's it.
During London, like anything like that, before all of this happened, because you obviously saw the Discord DMs of Alex and like all of them planning it behind the scenes. You know, they kind of planned this event before it even went live. It wasn't like a spontaneous kind of twit longer. It was a plan. Was there nothing that happened like behind the scenes in London or anything where caused him to like resent you or like want him to kind of just get this out?
Not really. No, we left on good terms as far as I was aware. With Alex, I think his usual response to these kind of things is to kind of don't respond to it. Usually it goes away, and usually it does.
Yeah.
But I think this particular one just got a bit too big, and he kind of had to. So I think that's the reasoning for why it took so long.
You think you're trying to see how it would play out?
Yeah, for me, I'm not as harsh as many people. No. A, because I try not to hold grudges in, too many situations, but also because he had apologized in person in a call before that point, and he apologized numerous times to me, and I'll reassure you that his in-person apologies were much better than his public one. I know why the public one was so bad, but...
Now, ImAllexx is no stranger to spreading misinformation and falsely accusing people of serious crimes. In fact, there are many instances in which he has used his platform to seemingly try and incriminate someone who has not been proven guilty. Now, looking into this, I can see why many people, me included, believed him to be a saint or a moral compass for so long. He's always portrayed himself as someone with a great moral compass who is ready to call out people for disgusting behaviour as soon as it arises. However, along with many of his good judgments of character, there have also been oversights that have resulted in circulating false allegations and misinformation that has the power to completely destroy a person's career. For example, back when everyone was cancelling James Charles, he jumped on the cancel James Charles train and threw some very serious accusations his way before any evidence to prove him guilty or innocent had come out.
I'm a celebrity, I can do whatever I want. Now that could be a joke, a really terrible joke, but if you actually look at all the evidence, at this point I think it's undeniable that is what's been going on.
Now, he did release an apology for this, and it would be forgivable if he didn't keep doing this, but he did. More recently, he accused Perez Hilton of being a predator because he kept filming himself commenting on Charlie D'Amelio's posts, even though Alex himself has done the exact same thing that Perez was doing by commenting on the way that young girls are presenting themselves online.
Charlie D'Amelio.
And yes, I'm obsessed over a 15-year-old girl. Does that upset you? Does that weird you out? Well, unlucky, I'm going to keep on doing it. Because that's what somebody would do, wouldn't they? You know, if a police go, oh mate, maybe you shouldn't hang around schools. You don't go, hey, back at the school again. You stay away. How do I go in from there? How do I start? With a prison sentence? Maybe. I'm just suggesting it. I'm just gonna throw that one out there. For 25 years to life.
Yeah, you look a little like an 18-year-old girl in this picture.
But she's not an 18-year-old girl, is she? So she shouldn't be posting like stuff online. Just me?
I think Charlie's a sweet girl and talented. My real issue is with her parents.
But it's not Danny's fault. And she shouldn't be the one who gets to blame. You shouldn't hate Danny Cohn. That's ridiculous. But the mum, feel free to put all the blame on her. She's a responsible adult.
Why'd the dad and the mom leave that video up? I would have made my daughter take it down.
She shouldn't be trying to encourage this behaviour, which currently is all she's doing.
But he got away with it because most people don't like Perez Hilton in the first place, so another excuse not to like him seemed justified at the time, even though it's a very serious criminal accusation with no solid evidence to support it. Or there's the time that he threw a talent agent by the name of Christian under the bus, basically announcing on a podcast that this guy was the cause of this huge influencer event that went horribly wrong when there was no solid evidence to support this, basically ruining this guy's career until he was able to defend himself. Here's what happened. There was an event organised by a company named Fame MMA that was supposed to be an influencer MMA event. Now this event was a massive flop and there were rumours that nobody had been paid what they were promised, and that was clearly Fame MMA's responsibility. Christian was simply a talent agent who had been recruited as a freelancer to basically negotiate deals with the influencers to get them on board. It was not him who was organising the event.
I want to make it very clear, as there's misconceptions, rumours, just lies out there. I was not paid by Fame MMA UK. I was not a director, not a shareholder, not a person with significant control, not involved in any board stuff. I was a freelancer to book the social talent for the event. Now, where we're at today is all of the fighters that I booked, which were 6 fighters who were Ali Law, Callum Markey, Ashley Marie, Casey Barker, JMX and Andrew Henderson. They have all been paid 70% of their contract and also 70% of the fee that I agreed with them in my contract. Colossal Influence had these fighters under their banner to get them involved, to essentially act as a talent agent.
However, Alex decided to go onto the True Geordie podcast and say to over 1 million watchers and listeners that it was Christian's fault.
That arranged by the bloke who arranged it.
Christian Stewart.
Christian Stewart is full of shit. So I knew, that's why we didn't do it. He is. Half
Look,
of it
it's
hasn't
not
paid.
something we've said behind closed doors.
Now this was uploaded on Christmas Day, and Christian then went on to Jackmate's Happy Hour podcast to explain how these accusations had affected him.
So Christmas evening when I'm watching it and sitting there, I've had a message and I didn't really know what it was about. And then I start getting messages from people saying, you're a fraud, you need to quit the industry, get out.
On Christmas Day?
On Christmas Day. At Christmas night when everyone's asleep. And I'm sitting in the corner watching the podcast, lonely, because I love the podcast and I watch the podcast. And I was like, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
But then Will said it's nothing that we haven't spoken about behind closed doors, which is a comment that I would still love him to justify, because I'm fully aware, having worked with a number of creators who I've become friends with, I would have classed us as friends.
Yeah.
People have told me what has been said about me behind my back.
Yeah.
None of it is true.
After Christian contacted Alex, he went onto his second channel that he barely uploads on to say that there's a distinction between Fame MMA and Christian, but he never actually apologised for involving Christian in the first place and spreading these rumours and creating a hate train for someone who was completely innocent.
To quickly say is that if you did watch the True Geordie podcast, there's a big difference between Fame MMA, the people who were running the boxing, and Christian Stewart, who was the guy who manages the talent and asked me if I wanted to fight, so on and so forth. Because there was a lot of rumours about the fact that people weren't getting paid, and that's obviously not good, because you don't want to get the shit kicked out of you and not got paid for it. But that was all stuff that came from the Fame MMA side of it, and Fame MMA and Christian are not the same thing, so I wouldn't want people to get confused in any way, shape or form at that.
He's also come under fire during this global pandemic. Sorry, YouTube is going to make me bleep out that word, but you know what's going on. He made a whole video about Howie Mandel basically calling him crazy and mental for having OCD.
Now, Howie Mandel has a really crazy OCD type of thing. He really hates germs, so he has to go and basically isolate himself.
And as someone who personally has suffered with OCD for a very long time, that's not really appreciated, as it projects quite harmful ideas about OCD onto his millions of impressionable subscribers. It would seem in my eyes that Alex is using his platform to call out the bad, immoral people of the internet, and that's how he's gained a good reputation. However, as time passes and we realise that some of these accusations are false, fabricated, or not justified at all, and Alex does not release a public enough apology to correct his wrongs, that's where the issue lies, because many people are not going to follow drama closely as it unfolds, and so they will see Alex accuse one person of being a predator, for example, and then assume that they are, because they have no reason to think that they would need to check back to see if this statement had been redacted, since, in my opinion, he seems to be trying to gain notoriety by jumping on these trains before enough evidence has come out to be able to make a proper judgment, and then instead of learning from his mistakes, he just keeps doing it. And this is why the internet is suddenly turning on Alex, as we are seeing a pattern in his morally questionable questionable behaviour. So that's all of the controversies that have come out recently about ImAllexx, and I have, as always, been your Uncle Herman. You can like and subscribe if you feel like it, or not if you don't feel like it, and I will see you very soon in my next video.